ready to perform. Thank you all for joining. I'm Jordan Angeli alongside former U.S. international Casey White. Casey, this is how the group ends up right now here in our last day of Group B play. Canada and Mexico on top with 2 victories. That solidified their spot in the semifinals on Friday. With a tie or a win, Canada goes through. Mexico needs the victory today, but both of these teams have a lot more to play for. It's getting that first place out of this group because that means you don't have to play the U.S. in the semifinal.
It's extremely important. No one wants to face the World Cup champion. They're going to go for it today. They want to be able to control their fate in the semifinal with 2 spots on the line. That placement is absolutely critical for both teams.
Both of these teams get set and ready to take the pitch. Fans have come to watch some of the best put on a show here. Just about 35 kilometers from the Mexican border. You can see all the Mexican fans there ready to support their team. We will let the PA announcer in Edinburgh take over from here as Mexico and Canada get set to take the field.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Canada, to be followed by the national anthem of Mexico.
the fans in Edinburgh, Texas, excited to see this matchup, the 25th overall meeting between Canada and Mexico. These two teams know each other very well. That first matchup coming all the way back in 1994. I'm Jordan Angeli alongside U.S. International Casey White, and as we look at Canada coming through the lines after their national anthem, they're going to start and make a few changes to their lineup. 4 changes from the last game they had in group play. Stephanie LeBay, though, stays in net.
Yes, she was extremely consistent last game, and what I'm excited about is seeing Janine Becky again in the starting lineup. What a great performance last game. She was able to set herself up, but also set up other players, and that could be crucial for today.
3 goals for Becky, 2 assists is what Casey is talking about there against Jamaica. The 3 front runners for Canada were on fire. Ekaterina Koroleva from the United States will head up the U.S. officiating crew. Tatiana Guzman from Nicaragua will be the 4th today's match, as you see the captains, Stephanie Mayor and Christine Sinclair, world record holder, most international goals, man, woman, child, anyone, 185 for her. For Mexico, they bring back Emily Alvarado to start in net in a team with 6 changes from their second game in group play.
It just speaks to the depth of both of these teams, the changes that we're seeing, and that really they have a system of play, they have a style of play, and whatever players they're bringing in are able to execute in big moments.
Rebecca Bernal, a player playing that defensive mid, number 6 for Mexico, will be big time, and right there on cue, she's talking to her team and leading them in their huddle as they prepare themselves for this huge match. I think it's fair to say, Casey, it's a huge match.
It is. It is. This is an important game for both these teams. It can't be understated.
Christopher Cuellar right there, the head coach for Mexico. Recently took over, has been with the full team in an assistant coach position for many years, and then in the striped polo, Kenneth Heiner-Moller. His 3rd year with the Canadian women's national team. Here's a look at the substitutes. Every squad in this Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifier, 20 rostered players, 3 of them being goalkeepers, but some good options off the bench.
Both of these teams have depth, and there's many players who can come in not only and score goals, but also solidify a potential win for them defensively as well.
As we get set for this one between Mexico and Canada, 25th overall match, and we're underway here in Edinburgh, Texas. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Jordan Angeli alongside former U.S. Women's International Casey White. And this matchup, big implications. Both these teams have already solidified their spot in the semifinals on Friday in L.A. So those tickets are booked, Casey, but they want to win the group, because winning Group B means you get to avoid the winner of Group A, which is the United States of America, the reigning Women's World Cup champions.
As a player, they've done their job to get to this point where they solidified their spot, as you said, but no one wants to get that matchup. You want to give yourself the best case scenario to qualify with only 2 spots on the line.
Only 2 spots coming from Concacaf to make it to that 2020 Tokyo Olympics. These 2 teams know that if they control what's happening here today, well, then they can control winning Group B. If they win Group B, they'll face Costa Rica. The loser of Group B, or the second place, I should say, will face the United States of America in that semifinal. Right away, Canada down the right side. The first time we've seen Nichelle Prince in this tournament. Crosses it right away, trying to make herself known. But Mexico picks up the ball. Disrupted by Scott. Here's Prince. One-on-one with Lopez, and right away, Canada earns their first corner kick of the match.
This is great by Canada, getting in the wide space early. Nichelle Prince seeing 2 touches very quickly for her first game, but well defended there by Lopez.
Good look at Jimena Lopez. Started every game now for Mexico in this CONCACAF Women's Olympic Qualifiers. Service goes over the head of everyone. Buchanan chases it down. Ends up saving it. Kadisha Buchanan, center back for Canada. Ball can't find Janine Becky. Janine Becky, a player that you spoke about in the open, about how effective she was in the last game against Jamaica. 3 goals, 2 assists. As Canada does some defending here. We've got some keys to the match coming from Casey, but we're going to have to wait as both teams are ready to go. And maybe speaks a little bit to your keys, Casey, when you're thinking of what these teams, what's on the line here today for Mexico. Do they change anything tactically in order to sustain maybe the pressure as we've seen already from Canada?
Well, what I like is that they're making Canada defend early on. I think that's really important for Mexico, is to make sure that Canada has to respect them and has to defend a little bit. But, you know, as far as how they come out, I think their line of confrontation is really important against Canada. They have a lot of speed up top. They have players that can play in behind. And so figuring out where are we going to press on the field is going to be extremely important for them.
And for Canada, we've seen them play in a couple different formations, in a 3-5-2 and a 4-3-3, as Nichelle Prince takes this now on the left side of attack, brings in Carl. Good touch in the box, but tackled away by Bernal to avoid any kind of look on goal. How do you think we're going to see here as Canada sets up? Which formation do you think they attack better out of? Because we've seen them play and score a lot of goals from both looks.
Well, in this tournament, both formations have been extremely effective. They really do try to attack the wide areas out of either formation. But I think the 4-3-3 against better and better competition is going to be something that really highlights them. It gives them a little bit in the back to make sure that they respect the opponent's attack, but it allows their speedy players to get on the wings, and not just 2 necessarily, but now there's 4 that can be attacking from the wide spaces.
From right now, attacking is Mexico. It's Stephanie Mayor, the captain, goes all the way far, out of the reach of Jacqueline Ovalle. Ovalle, a player who comes back into the lineup, didn't play the last game, but she lit it up for Mexico in the first game. Played 83 minutes. So you take a look at Daniela Espinoza. Our first look at Stephanie LeBay here, currently playing for the North Carolina Courage, the 34-year-old, in her 69th cap as an international with Canada. Zadorsky looking for Prince. They'll be cleared out of bounds by Bianca Sierra. Mayor, the captain, dribbles into space, has 2 runners with her. She keeps going, well defended in the end by Buchanan, but it's not out of danger yet. Mexico with numbers. Mercado plays in Lopez, far post. A trailing run by Espinoza, just slightly off. Good look from Mexico right away.
Well, it started with them winning that ball in midfield and driving at the Canadian back line. That's the attack that they need to see more and more of, is to make them defend in their final third. But that battle in midfield and them winning that is going to be huge for them today.
Talking before this game too, Casey, you were saying one of the keys for Mexico is not just their line of confrontation, is how they do this. What they do when they have the ball, how possession for them is going to be huge in trying to deny Canada feeling like they can get a rhythm.
Mexico has very technical players on their roster. The more they have the ball, the less Canada does, and as simple as that sounds, that's good for Mexico. With what Canada has shown in the attacking third, they've been absolutely clinical. So if Mexico can make sure their speed of play is very high and they're able to keep possession, it'll be helpful for them.
Espinoza plays in Mayor. The tackle coming from Gabby Carl, 22-year-old from Quebec. Denying Mayor a look to get a cross in. Mayor, the most senior player on this Mexican squad. Service comes in. Well, there's the most senior player on the Canadian squad, making sure Mexico doesn't get a shot. It's Christine Sinclair drawing the foul. That's going to be an early yellow card for Jocelyn Origel. It's a tough tackle here.
Yeah, she's got her body position right in front of her and definitely doesn't want Christine Sinclair running towards her goal with no one around her. Unfortunate to get the yellow card, but at least it stops Sinclair from getting into the attack.
Maybe a veteran move there from Sinclair, too. She just knows if I step in front of her, I might be able to draw a foul here. Got a yellow card along with it. Origel playing for Cholos de Tijuana down in Liga MX Femenil. We'll be talking a lot about the league down in Mexico and how it has allowed so many of these players to play together on a week in and week out basis.
No, that's absolutely huge for the game, for the women's sports, and just having that league that's with every men's club and giving more opportunities to players is just good for the game and the development.
Jade Revere gets the ball back. Canada with some numbers in their attacking half. Becky can't do enough with that one. It's going to go back over to Mexico. Both of these teams very comfortable playing around their back lines, being patient in the way that they attack. Buchanan, one of those players who not only is comfortable on the ball, but her and Zadorsky are also comfortable on the dribble, and a different look that Canada can give you when those two start to dribble into midfield.
It's going to be necessary today. You have Ovalle and Espinoza that are pinched in the 4-2-3-1, and both Buchanan and Zadorsky, if they can dribble, penetrate into midfield, will create overloads for Canada in that middle third, and that's going to be really effective for them as they start to dribble into that space.
Jimena Lopez playing her collegiate soccer at Texas A&M. She's played and started in every game here in these Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifiers, and man, has she been good. The last game, she had a goal and 2 assists. She was a part of 50% of the goals that Mexico created. Can they utilize her in attack today? Cuellar putting some pressure on. Canada's out the other side. Origel looking for Cuellar. And Casey, you've been in these qualifying tournaments. You were part of the Olympic qualifiers in 2008. Now that it's 2020, 2008 is so hard for me to say. 2008.
Are you calling me old?
No. I would be calling both of us old. Back in 2008. So you know that it is so important to have depth in these tournaments. And both of these teams showing that not only do they have goal scorers on the field, Jade Revere being one of them, but they still have some on the bench as well. A good look at Revere. Drawing a foul here. But for Mexico, getting a result here today is important, and we've seen them score goals, yes, but how much of it is about their defensive work today, stopping this powerful attack of Canada?
I think that is a huge part of Mexico's success today. And one of the big things about being in these environments is you have to realize what each game needs.
Becky knows she needs a good cross. Sinclair in the box. Christine Sinclair gets blocked. 7 players for Mexico doing some dirty defensive work there. to clear the pressure. So you think, speaking to Mexico and your point there, it might be a little bit of both of.
There's definitely both sides, and I think as you can tell from the first 12 minutes, the defensive side is what's making the attack of Mexico so good at this point, because they're defending well. It's hard for that midfield three of Canada to get on the ball, and so when they win possession, Mexico has numbers around the ball, and it feeds their attack. But I think their ability as a collective to play defensively is something that's going to help them grow into this game and keep Canada off the scoreboard.
Sinclair goes all the way back. These two teams have met each other 25 times now, 4 of them being in these Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifiers. 1 victory in favor of Mexico and 2 going in favor of Canada. So I think if you look at those stats just from qualifiers, both of these teams have shown already that they're eager to make their mark in this one. Renee Cuellar drawing a foul, leading goal scorer for Mexico right now. Lopez controls it off her arm. It's going to go in favor of Canada. Getting a taste of Janine Becky and Nichelle Prince and their ability to switch sides. There's the handball.
A little bit of a tough bounce on that ball. I think she would have taken that out of the air. Wouldn't have been a problem, but it's a little bit tough, but sometimes that happens.
Schmidt trying to play make in the midfield. Turns over possession. Lopez. This is one of the things we've seen from Mexico throughout the whole tournament, is their ability to keep the ball under pressure coming out of their back third. They lose it here. You just wonder how much of that is going to change when you're getting higher pressed by Canada. We'll see how they adapt through this 90 minutes. Zadorsky on the dribble. Carl's cross is going to go straight into the arms of Emily Alvarado. The first time we've seen her, the El Paso, Texas native. Grew up playing her club soccer for the Texas Rush. Didn't play in the last game, but played in Mexico's first game against Jamaica, and she had a couple of saves in that one, 2 to her name. Revere trying to show a little bit of her skill. Well defended by Ovalle. Ovalle with some skill, brings in Lopez, runners in the box. Cuellar. Sinclair coming back to help.
Right now, it's just impressive how Mexico's defending. I'm really enjoying watching how compact they are as a group. That midfield is very impossible to play through at this point in time because everything becomes a 1v1 situation with cover very close by. So it's going to be interesting to see how Canada looks to break that down and where they're going to be able to find those spaces to attack.
Ovalle gets it poked away. It's the first touches we've really seen from Jessie Fleming there. She hunts the ball, can't get enough on it.
Even there, you can see Oragel stepping into midfield on Christine Sinclair. They're committing players to step and press in that midfield third. As long as they have cover, they're willing to do that. And I like that they've come out aggressively and really forced Canada to have to play in that midfield area.
Another interesting thing about this matchup is both of these teams in their first 2 games, not to say they haven't been challenged, but it hasn't been the quality of this opponent. And I think they both come into this game knowing that it's going to be a battle and it's going to be something where they want to maybe stick to how they've been playing and keep working on the things that they've been progressing on throughout these first 2 games.
It's obviously a tough game for them, and it's been a step up as they come through, of course, but it's a preview of things to come. And so you need a game like this to be able to figure out those pieces and how you can compete against some of the best in the world.
Building up, here's Ovalle. Some nifty moves, finds Cuellar. Cuellar found a little pocket of space, and it almost was an opportunity on goal for Mexico.
You just see the quick feet here of Ovalle, and then Renee Cuellar pulling off the defender. Couldn't get a lot on that, but she pulled off very well off of Buchanan. Look at the little stop and go there, creativity from Ovalle. Gotta love to see that in that final third.
Cuellar, 3 goals for her on this tournament so far. The leading goal scorer for Mexico. You can tell she's eager to find one today. And Ovalle is a young player who has had some experience now with the full team and has a little bit of flair to her. All tournament, she has been willing to get after players. Showing you a taste of her skill there, but now Mexico's defending far side with Prince. She brings in Fleming. Desiree Scott switches the point. Such a rock for them in midfield. Lopez switches the point. Not the numbers they wanted, so Mexico will restart. Sierra's a player not afraid to get forward in that outside back position. That ball just runs away from her.
I think that's going to be important as the game goes on for Mexico. They're showing that most of their attack is coming from their compactness defensively. But if they want to get more opportunities forward, they do need more numbers to commit forward. So I'd like to see Bianca Sierra get a little higher up the field.
Gabby Carl started the first game and gets another start here today. Outside back from Quebec. She's a versatile player. She plays anywhere really on that left side. Be interesting to see how Canada can utilize her because they're outside backs, and Carl on the far side and Revere here on the near side. Been so important for them. That's going to be our second yellow card of the game. This one coming to Rebecca Bernal.
That was just a tough challenge by Bernal. Jessie Fleming gets it out of her feet and just comes right across her, so don't blame the referee on that one at all. But that was better by Canada. You saw Sophie Schmidt drop into that outside back space. It pulled a player out for Mexico, and they were able to play through the midfield. If it hadn't been for that foul, they would have been out the other side.
Look at Rebecca Quinn warming up on the sideline. Becky doesn't have anyone on the end of that one. Your expectations met in this first 21.5 minutes?
For the
Casey?
most part, I think, though, that Mexico has come out even more patient than I thought they would defensively, and has really frustrated Canada. I'd like to see Kadisha Buchanan and Shalina Zadorsky dribble into the midfield space more often. You can just see that their outside backs for Canada are a little bit lower than they normally are, and then that causes the 7 and 11 as well to be lower. So if they dribble in, they can get more players higher up the field.
It's been a good first part of this first half. Thank you guys for joining us. That was Casey White, former U.S. Women's International. Played in the 2008 Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifying with the U.S. I'm Jordan Angeli. We've enjoyed being a part of this qualifying tournament. Both of these teams know a victory today would help them in the semifinal matchup. It would mean that they would avoid the United States in the semis on Friday in LA. So this game almost has that feel like it's already a knockout game.
It really does. You can tell. I mean, they are playing to win this game, both groups. You know, Canada's not playing for a tie. They're going for it. They're looking to get the win. They want to continue playing the way they have. And Mexico's come out with fight, knowing to win, they have to get first place. They have to win this game. And so that's important to them.
Mexico, as Casey just said, has to win. Canada's through with a draw or a win on goal differential with that draw. So right now, Canada in the driver's seat. That ball is going to be easy for Alvarado to pick up. Mexico all the way out of their own 18. Inviting some pressure. Origel on a yellow card early in this first half. It's Carl. She has Fleming. She's gonna find her. Jessie Fleming gets her pocket picked by Sierra. Renee Cuellar is going to have a lot of work to do if she's going to be that solo target player there.
She is. She has an important role defensively, cutting the field in half, making play predictable, and she's done a good job of that so far. But she's going to have to exhibit a lot of patience and make sure she can continue that for 90 minutes.
Here's Cuellar, holds it up this time, connects with Mayor. But it's just too heavy of a touch. Stephanie Mayor playing for Tigres. Had a goal in the last match against St. Kitts, and she's really the leader on this team. She sits right in front of one of their other leaders, Bernal, but those two in the midfield dictate a lot of the attacking in Mayor and the defensive work in Bernal of how Mexico earn a lot of their victories and have yet to give up a goal here. Canada's across, it's gonna be Christine Sinclair. Well, there it is. Sinclair, all eyes on the player who assists her. But Christine Sinclair keeps adding more to her number.
She's absolutely clinical. She just needs one opportunity, and really Canada needed pretty much one opportunity. They got that overload in the wide space, and you get a great run here by Jade Revere, and what an amazing ball to find that slot runner, and that is not an easy finish by Christine Sinclair. It bounces right before it gets to her, and she gets over it for the finish.
You gotta love that from Sinclair. The veteran to the youngin, saying that assist was big time. Christine Sinclair now at 186 international goals as Mexico's coming right back the other end. Scott does what she does best, just breaks up the play.
It's going to be interesting to see how this goal affects the play, because really that first portion of the first half, Canada wasn't able to build. They weren't able to create the opportunities, certainly not like we've seen in the last 2 games. And to give up that goal, does that give them a little bit of confidence to take more chances, get more numbers forward? And what does Mexico do now to go, okay, we've got to get a win, so we have to get goals back?
Do you feel like Mexico needs to change much of what they were doing? Because they were doing a good job before that goal.
I don't think so. I think their defensive compactness right now has been very good for them. Maybe finding opportunities to get their outside backs forward, but you do give up something if you do that. And right now, they've done really well tactically.
Mayor on the ball, pulling the strings in midfield for Mexico. Cuellar consistently at that near post. Renee Cuellar. And Scott will give up a throw in deep in her own half. Christopher Cuellar there on the sideline, head coach for Mexico. The first goal Mexico has given up this tournament came just 2 minutes ago by Christine Sinclair. So Cuellar has to be fairly pleased with the way that his team has defended, all in all. But that's how clinical she is. One opportunity.
You can't leave her unmarked in the 18-yard box. She will punish you. She's the best in the world at that, and she's proven it year in and year out. So in these big moments, she shows up. You have to be organized in the box.
Christine Sinclair's third goal of this version of the Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifiers. It's her 4th time here, and 21 goals all in all during her appearances in those tournaments. So scoring when it matters as well. Revere with the assist, plays it all the way over to the other side.
And I like Sophie Schmidt coming into that outside space because you can see Mercado's matching up with her in midfield, but when she pulls into that area, there is space to now play out and create some overloads in the central areas.
Carl gonna be beaten to it by Sierra. That overload that you were talking leaves a huge gap over on the far side for Carl.
It does. If they can find the speed of play to when they create the overload, move the ball quickly, that opposite side wide area is open, and you've got Revere and Carl waiting for that ball, and that's something that could be effective if those central midfielders can figure out how to find that space.
Sinclair picks up a loose ball. Canada just work it back, trying to pull Mexico out of their shape a little bit. Becky can't get around the corner. Goal by Sinclair in the 26th minute. The difference here in this big last game of Group B play for both of these squads. As Carl on the far side into a dangerous area. Her cross is going to go to Alvarado. But right down her back was Janine Becky.
Just letting her know she's there. So if there's any kind of bobble or anything that happens, those runs are there, and they're waiting for that to happen to try to get that second goal.
Ovalle can't win it originally. It's Farias on the ball now. That's one outlet that Mexico has, is the left foot of Origel. She can ping a ball and relieve some pressure. She's on the ball again here. Espinoza gets dispossessed. Now it's Prince with Becky running in behind. Has to hold the ball. Wait for more runners. Prince's ball. It's gonna be too far for Sophie Schmidt. This Canadian squad comes into Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifying with what they felt is a little something to prove. They didn't feel like the World Cup went their way, didn't score as many goals as they felt like they should have. And they were very adamant about how they were attacking. Felt like they did a good job for the most part defending. Yes, they gave up goals, but knew that they would have to score more at all levels in order to be a big contender in the world. That's from a team that sits 8th in the
high expectations, which is what you want to see, and they've shown in this Olympic qualifying that they can score goals. And now they're playing a team in Mexico that presents a whole nother challenge in the way they defend, the way they possess, and they've shown with little opportunity they've put it away today.
And just like that, 2 passes later, they almost break down Mexico, but Prince ran herself offside. It's one of the things Coach Kenneth Heiner-Mueller said is they were almost too overcommitted in the fall to this idea of scoring goals, so it didn't go as they had planned. And there was too much pressure on it. It became a little bit hectic. And in speaking to this tournament and what it's done for them, he said it's been clinical and so impressive the way his squad has been out there, not only dictating the play, but scoring from a variety of different players.
There's such a balance with goal scoring of focusing on it too much, where it just seems like it won't come, versus training it day in and day out, where you have the repetition, the technique, you feel like you've been there before, but nothing really replicates doing it in these moments. But what they've shown is they can do that. Yeah. And Mexico today is the next step for them. The semifinal game, being able to do it in a game that means everything, is the next step, and then if they make the Olympics, going from there.
Canada with 7 different goal scorers in this tournament so far. 3 of them with 3 or more goals. As Carl does some defending on the far side. Daniela Espinoza has been a little bit quiet on the right wing for Mexico as she lets that ball through, and it's going to go all the way back to Zadorsky. Mexico have 5 different goal scorers, so they can score from a variety of different ways as well. As Ovalle chases this down. A player yet to get on the score sheet is Jacqueline Ovalle. But her head coach, Cuellar, looking on, know that she can be effective on the left wing, and you've seen Mexico try to spring her in. Revere wins the ball back for Canada.
That's better by Revere stepping into that central area. Avalle's made it a little hard for her because when they defend centrally in that 4-1-4-1, then she gets the ball in the attack there as well, and Revere likes to stay a little bit wider. But now you can see she's adapting and stepping into that space to win the ball for Canada.
Defending now on the far side is Carl. Espinoza can't connect with Mercado. Will stay in favor of Mexico. Bianca Sierra played for a couple years in NWSL with Washington Spirit and the Boston Breakers, now playing in Liga MX for Tigres. As Mexico earns himself a corner kick here. Second of the match for Mexico. Labe in net for Canada, organizing her team. This is a good opportunity. They send Origel forward. Mayor's ball right into the mix, not cleared cleanly. Just a swing and a miss by Labe there. And Ovalle doesn't get the little touch that she wants, and it's going to go back to possession with Canada. Labe feels probably a little bit lucky on that one.
Definitely. That's a dangerous ball there by Mayor, but really the runs weren't quite what they needed to be by Mexico. There you just see Ovalle knocking the ball out of bounds. But I just felt like Mexico could have organized that back post space a little bit better, and it may have been a little bit more dangerous even than it became.
Or take one of your tall players and put her in that space, not Origel on the near post.
Exactly.
Here comes Canada, cleared away by Origel with her head. '26th minute goal by Christine Sinclair, her 186th goal in all of her career for Canada is the difference right now. Both these teams are already going to the semifinal on Friday in LA. Now they're playing for top spot in Group B. Fleming gets dispossessed. How many times do you say this, though? Desiree Scott cleans it up.
That's what she does. She definitely has the perfect spacing behind there to be able to clean it up and draw the foul here. Just the body position she has to keep possession makes Mayor get a little bit impatient and have the foul.
Scott on the ball again. Good pocket of space for Prince. Finds the goal scorer, who can't connect there. Mexico out of their back third, something they've done time and time again this game already. Comfortable under pressure. Each time a girl joins football, the world takes a strike towards equality. If you empower a girl, you empower a community to fight for their dreams. Concacaf W. We belong. Sinclair.
This is better by Canada. You can just see the movements are starting to become more fluid. They're finding pockets of space on the side of Bernal where they're able to play, and that's allowed them to get a little bit more possession higher up the field.
Just as you said that, Lopez takes the ball away and can't quite connect with Cuellar. Not only is Christine Sinclair the goal, the difference here in this one, but it's also her 17th goal ever against Mexico. More than any other country she's ever scored against, so. Showed up big already in this one. Here she is on the ball again. Becky has a shot from distance, tipped over the bar. Alvarado with a beautiful save.
It's just better by Canada in general. The speed of play is better, 1- and 2-touch passes, and Becky's able to find just that little half chance, and she strikes that so incredibly well.
Sweet strike here from Becky, but that little touch by Alvarado. Maybe a touch on that replay. Hard to see when it's slowing down that much, but Becky's going to take it. Second corner kick of the game here for Canada. Sinclair, Zadorsky, Buchanan, all targets. They decide to go short. Becky's cross, not dangerous, and Bernal got the worst of that challenge as her and Buchanan just got tangled up, and the ball gets shot well over the crossbar. Just one of those awkward challenges.
Yeah, that's a tough one. She had no idea she was coming from behind there, and Kadisha Buchanan gets a touch on the ball, and she's just not ready for it.
Even when Buchanan goes all the way forward to try to be effective on a corner kick, she's still doing the gritty defensive work to keep the ball alive for her team. Buchanan currently playing in France for Lyon, part of that 2016 bronze medal winning team that Canada sent to the Olympics in Rio. Her 98th cap today. Kadisha Buchanan has really become a rock in the center defense for Canada as she receives the ball here.
She really keeps the group completely organized defensively. She's a great 1v1 defender. What I love about the top center backs in the world is the closer the other teams get to their goal, the more patient they get. Their timing gets better. You talk about goal scorers being able to have things slow down when they score goals. The best defenders, it becomes slower too around their own goal, and I love that about her. But what's also surprising is how good she is in the attack and just how comfortable she is on the ball, and she's just a top player for this group.
About a minute and a half left in this one. Casey, for Mexico, important to keep the score as is or push for that equalizer here late in the half?
I think the defensive work is completely fine what they've done, but they have to figure out ways to get numbers forward to help Cuellar. When she gets the ball, more players have to be joining in the attack.
Becky, eyes up, looking for Prince. Good work defensively by Mercado. Now Sierra does the defensive work. Sinclair, far post, Schmidt. She might have gotten a clip on Lopez when she landed, but Sophie Schmidt, it's her first look of her getting far into the attack. Jimena Lopez there. Her 17th cap with the full team. Might have gotten the worst of that challenge. As Lopez receives some treatment on the far side.
Yeah, and you can just see her coming down on the challenge. You know, no intent in that, going for the challenge and just clips the back of her ankle.
The fourth official on the sideline has indicated there will be a minimum of 1 minute added.
Lopez still getting a little bit of treatment there, just beyond the end line. As her teammates line up to defend a corner kick. Seconds tick down here in the first 45. Becky's service goes all the way far. Buchanan settles it nicely. Zadorsky. Oh, center back to center back. Zadorsky puts it away. Second career goal for Jelena Zadorsky. She makes it count in the waning seconds of this first half.
Kadisha Buchanan does a great job here to just show composure in the box and find Zadorsky, who just works to get it on frame. And all of that in front of goal makes it very hard for Alvarado as that ball goes through. But I love that touch by her. Zadorsky just going, I'm going to get this on frame, and Nichelle Prince causing a little bit of a distraction there in front.
Goal for Canada, scored by number 4.
Big fist pump there from Zadorsky. And that's going to be it. The first 45 minutes between Canada and Mexico. 2 goals, one by Christine Sinclair and one by her center back, Shailina Zadorsky, are the difference in this one. Christopher Cuellar and his Mexican side will figure out a way to get back in this one. A victory and winning the group is on the line.
Mexico, nil.
As Stephanie Mayor talks to her team and gets them amped and ready. A big comeback is necessary for Mexico. It's 2-0 at half in favor of Canada. We'll be back with highlights and stats just after this.
Concacaf winning the Olympic qualifiers. All states, you're in good hands. All states are participating en el campeonato del Olímpico femenino de Concacaf. All states, estás en buenas manos.
Welcome back to Edinburgh, Texas. As Group B play wraps up today, this is the most important game. Canada and Mexico already have found themselves booking their plane tickets to LA on Friday for the semifinals. But today's match, well, who's gonna get first place out of this group? If you get first place, you avoid the United States in that semifinal match. I'm Jordan Angeli, Casey White alongside me. And Casey, the first 45, at least in the first part, were a lot of Mexico and some good defensive work from them to deny Canada.
Yeah, they did extremely well. You see Ovalle there getting a ball in the box and well defended by Gabby Carl, but early on, Mexico was able to defend very well, compact shape, and that really generated opportunities for them, as you see the foul on Christine Sinclair.
Orgel getting a yellow card on that one. So one of the center backs for Canada sitting on a yellow card, but Mexico wasn't afraid to attack, and I think that was a big plan for them to get after Canada here early on.
Yeah, you can see the creative ability of each of those players, Lopez and Ovalle, in the wide spaces. They did really well to get forward, as you see the tough challenge by Bernal and Jesse Fleming. But as it went, Canada started to find those spaces and find the wide areas. And you can see here, Jade Revere just pulls it back, slots the ball, and what a finish by Christine Sinclair to put Canada up 1-0.
Becky instrumental in last game with 3 goals and 2 assists. Well, she sets up the assist for Revere here. And then the big-time goal scorer for Canada, Christine Sinclair, will just eat that up every single time, wide open in the box. But right after this, Casey, she points to Jade Revere and says, what a ball. That's the kind of leader she is.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The leadership of that, to let your young player know you recognize her, is huge. And what a strike by Janine Becky. She touches this ball out, just gets a half chance, gets it on frame, and really challenges Alvarado here.
3 corner kicks for Canada in that first half, and this would be the second goal we see from center back to center back, showing each other a little love.
Kadisha Buchanan does great on the back post, just to pull away, just that little movement, finds Zadorsky, and all of that mayhem in front makes it very hard for Alvarado. Just get it on frame and good things can happen.
That was in the first minute of stoppage time in the first half. Zadorsky getting her second international goal for Canada. And for Canada, they're winning possession. But I wouldn't say that those stats actually give you a good indication of how the game went in the first 45.
Yeah, you have to take into consideration the tactical nuances, and you can tell that Mexico has really chosen to be compact and defend in the middle third, and they've really limited the total shots that Canada's had today. They just have been clinical with it. They've really taken advantage of their opportunities.
When we get back here in Edinburgh, Texas, we will be set and ready to go for the second 45. Right now, it's Canada on top of Mexico, 2-0. Be back in a few.
No puedes estar seguro si tu equipo ganará por un pelo. Pero sí puedes estar seguro de que con perdón de accidentes de Allstate, tu tarifa no subirá por tener un accidente. Le di muy fuerte. Aunque sea tu culpa. Un seguro que sí es seguro. Allstate.
I went from maybe I can to I know I will. From it would be nice to I just did. From isn't she cute to fight. I feel alone turned into we've got each other's back. Coaches who seem stuck on we can now say we did. Sports writers went from will they make it to they just broke another record. from women's football to every 90 minutes, I'm reminded we belong.
Welcome back to this beautiful February evening here in Edinburgh, Texas. HEB Park has been the home of all Group B play for the Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifiers. I'm Jordan Angeli alongside Casey White. Casey, you've been in these moments, in these big qualifying tournaments for Canada. What went right for them in the first 45?
They just kept going. They just kept trying to create things, and they started to figure out some different spaces that they could take advantage of. So that was one positive, but they were clinical in front of goal. And sometimes you don't generate a lot of opportunities, but you have to be able to put those minimal chances away.
Speaking of Canada, we're going to see Ashley Lawrence make her way into the game. She comes in for Jade Revere. They're not a like-for-like sub, so we'll talk about that in a second, Casey. Right now, I want to talk about Mexico. If you're head coach Christopher Cuellar at the halftime, what are you telling to your squad in order to figure out a way to get 2 goals, maybe 3 goals back here in this match?
I think one thing, you're going over the things that have gone well, right? They've defended well, but what they need now is goals. So how are they going to generate more numbers going forward? And there's a number of ways they can do that, but they have to support Renee Cuellar up top, get players more forward, and then take advantage of set pieces. They've earned a lot of corner kicks, and they've been able to have those, but they haven't taken advantage of those moments either.
Can Mexico figure out a way in this second 45 to pull some goals back? It's 2-0 here as Canada started with the ball in their all-red kits. Mexico in the all-white. Both of these teams already through to the semifinals, but they're looking to be top of the group to play the second-place team in Group A. Helps them avoid the reigning Women's World Cup champions, the United States of America, who won Group A yesterday. And right away, Ashley Lawrence comes into the game. She's going to get a little talking to here by Ekaterina Koroleva. And I mentioned not a like-for-like sub between Revere and Lawrence, but that's actually not true. All we've seen of Lawrence this tournament is playing higher up the field. But she's known to play some outside back, too, in her time here with Canada.
Well, she comes in hard on the challenge there on Ovalle, making her presence known very, very quickly, and pretty lucky only to get a talking to at that point. But like you said, you know, in this tournament, she's played mostly in the midfield and in an attacking position, but she's fast, she's aggressive, and it shows the versatility that Heiner Mueller has on this squad.
It's the first substitution of the game. Ashley Lawrence coming in for Jade Revere, who had the assist on the game-winning goal as it stands with Christine Sinclair in the 26th minute.
The substitution was for Team Canada in the 45th minute. Entering the game.
Yeah, I think it was a tactical test for Jade Revere. In this game, she had to deal with some different things than she's seen in the other games and really hadn't had to defend as much, but she made her presence known and she got that run forward. She's been clinical with assists and really been able to pick out players in the box, and she did the same thing today.
So you think for Heiner Mueller, that substitution injects some more experience in your back line, knowing that you have the lead and you need to keep it?
It does. I think there's a tactical piece to that, and understanding that Ashley Lawrence has been at this level and understands what that takes. And also, Jade Revere's played a lot of minutes, and they are going to have a game on Friday, and making sure that you have as many players as fresh as possible is important.
Here's Lawrence on the ball now, 86th cap for her. She was the Canadian Women's Player of the Year in 2016. Michelle Prince. Connects from the corner, but Origel stops the cross from getting anywhere close to the front runners for Canada. Schmidt keeping possession, something she does so well. Sinclair's flick will go right to Alvarado. For Mexico, they come into this game after beating Jamaica in their first match of Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifiers back a week ago, 1-0. It was a goal by Renee Cuellar. And then they took down St. Kitts 6-0. 2 goals from Cuellar in that one. But a whole handful of players getting on the score sheet. So these are their first 2 goals that they've conceded all tournament. They're eager to put one in on Canada and repay the favor. Fleming. Big tackle there by Mexico, and now Canada's out on the near side. Becky goes for goal. It's an easy one in the end for Alvarado.
It's a great tackle in midfield, but Mexico wasn't able to get on that second ball, but it was a wonderful challenge by Farias.
Stephanie Mayor, the captain for Mexico. It's a lot of the work in the midfield for them. A player that's been fairly quiet in attack. How do they get her more on the ball?
Well, Canada has started to figure out how to defend as well with Jessie Fleming stepping up with Christine Sinclair. So it's really hard for that backline to penetrate into midfield. But you can see Mayor's coming further and further back to get on the ball because they're not able to break that second line. But I'd like to see them be in the wide areas and then bring Mayor into the game where she can come and be a secondary option higher up the field.
They defend right now in that wide area that Casey was just talking about. Bianca Sierra giving the finger wag. I did not touch the ball. Sierra, California native, now playing for Tigres. And one of the things about Liga MX Femenil started about 3 years ago, and most of the players, I should say, for Mexico playing in that league, getting them to a place where they can play week in, week out. And a big part of that is the new rule this 2019-2020 season that 6 Mexican Americans can be on each squad, really presenting opportunities for players like Bianca Sierra to go to Mexico and play alongside her national teammates week in, week out. And this is a big time sub for them. Kiana Palacios has the attacking firepower to get after you. A goal in the last game, drew the penalty kick that Stephanie Mayor ended up scoring. And she's going to come on here in the 52nd minute.
In the 52nd minute, entering the game, number 8, Kiana Palacios.
Ovalle.
Leading the game, number 18, Liliana Mercado.
Ovalle now on the right side. We'll see if that continues with that lethal left foot. Might provide her some opportunities centrally. They'll have to defend. Sinclair chases this one down. Too much from the 37-year-old. Might have been too much for a lot of people, though.
I think so. Had a little bit of pace on it.
Heiner Mueller there in the striped polo. Excited about the depth of his squad here, but also spoke before the tournament about how difficult it was to just pick 20 players. You go from a bigger World Cup roster to just 20 players for this qualifying, and then 18 if you make it to the Olympics. Sinclair looks to slip Becky through. Those decisions get tougher and tougher and tougher.
It's such a small number, but that's a great problem to have as a coach, and that's what the Mexican League is providing as well. You know, is that ability to develop more and more players at a higher level.
Palacios in the box. Big time save by Stephanie LeBay. Palacios has been watching and waiting for her chance to get at goal.
There's a little insight into what she can bring into the game immediately. Great run, and this is just a great strike on the ball, forcing LeBay to make a save. And you know, the substitution's great from a tactical perspective, just more offensive firepower coming in with the ability to go to goal.
Stephanie LeBay started every match for this Canadian side in the 2019 Women's World Cup. That save keeps her team up by 2. They'll have to defend this corner here. Into the mix, headed away by the captain. And Lopez can't do anything with the second ball. Kiana Palacios comes in right away. You have to think players centrally are eager for her to slip her through, like Stephanie Mayor. Looking to find a little spot where Palacios can inject some of that energy. Oragel almost caught between two minds there to leave it run or play it out, and
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of pace on the ball,
Yeah.
so I think she thought, okay, I'm going to let this run out, and then it started to slow down, and you've got Michelle Prince breathing down your neck, so a little bit tough there, but it lucked out for her.
Jocelyn Origel played her collegiate soccer at the University of Colorado. Now gets to continue that career as a professional in Tijuana. Mayors. Ball gets deflected initially by Schmidt. Canada wins the ball back on the far side. Canada has been dominant in this matchup with Mexico really since 2004. That's the last time Mexico has beat Canada. It was in Olympic qualifying. It was a 2-1 score. But since then, just 2 draws for between these teams, and the rest victories in favor of Canada. Their last meeting coming back in May, right before Canada left for the Women's World Cup. 3-0 victory. Sinclair also scored in that game alongside Fleming and Leon.
It seems now, Canada's really figured out how they want to defend against Mexico. It's very, very difficult for Mexico to build up right now. Janine Becky and Michelle Prince are dropping back into that space where they're not really able to break a line with their passes when Mexico has the ball, and then they're able to step and press immediately. So it's a lot more successful for Canada, and they're winning it higher up the field.
Chance for both these teams to face off against an opponent that really makes them make those tactical adjustments. As so far, they've had victories in every single game that they played in this tournament. Something that they were looking forward to. Christopher Cuellar for Mexico said, Canada's one of the best 10 teams in the world, and that their matchup against them will really start to show him what he has done in his 2 years in charge of this squad, and how they do face up against those teams who are of such high quality. As you take a look at how the goals have happened in the first half. But it's such a good point. Mexico's still learning a lot about themselves as a squad. The challenge there from Farias, maybe enough to put Sinclair off a run.
Well, and that's why programming is so important for all of these countries, is not only having a consistency of international games, but also the level of teams that you're playing. And for Christopher Cuellar in Mexico, it's huge to have games that are against top opponents, so they can really properly prepare and get down to the fine details of what are they missing, what do they need to improve on, or what's working.
And a fire was lit under this Mexican side when they didn't qualify for the 2019 Women's World Cup. They didn't make it out of group play. When they speak about it, they know that that was a disappointment to them. So they've made that next step here, righted their wrong in some way, making it to the semifinal, as both of these teams here tonight are going to play in a semifinal match. What's on the line is who is going to play against the United States and who is going to play against Costa Rica, the first and second place teams in Group A play that finished yesterday. As Farias there doing some of the dirty work. Schmidt. Now Scott has Sinclair. Fleming in a big pocket of space. Brings in Lawrence. That shot from Lawrence. Was it a shot? Was it a cross?
I don't know. I think she was just trying to get it across frame there. Not sure the angle was best for a shot, but it almost works itself out. But what a pass by Jessie Fleming. Maybe a little late. They were able to recover in that space, but she finds those gaps so well.
Fleming, a real playmaker for this Canadian squad, only 22 years old, and her 72nd cap. She does some defensive work there, but good patience by Mexico to play out of pressure. And you can talk about playing out of pressure all you want, but when you're faced with a team like Canada who has speed up front and in the midfield to close the gaps, it's really a test for your squad is how you perform under that pressure.
It really is. There's a unique relationship between patience and speed of play, and finding that balance of how are you patient in possession, waiting for the right moments, but when do you need to speed up the game to beat pressure or break lines? That's very difficult. Mexico, you can see, is kind of trying to figure out when to play quick and when not to play quick so they can go forward more.
.30 minutes left in this one. It was 2 first-half goals by Canada. That's the difference right now. I'm Jordan Angeli alongside former U.S. Women's International Casey White. We've enjoyed calling these Group B matches here for the Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifying, as Maria Sanchez readies herself on the sideline. We'll see if she will get a chance to be the difference maker. Canada right now with this scoreline sits in a spot where they would win Group B. As they win Group B, that would match them against Costa Rica on Friday in LA at Dignity Health Sports Park, home of the LA Galaxy. This is where the semifinals and the final will take place this weekend. At this moment right now, too, Mexico would be in the second spot. They would face off against the United States in their semifinal. Those semifinal games so important because if you win the semifinal and make it to the final, as Sinclair drops this one on a dime into Prince, well defended by Farias. If you make it into the final, you have qualified your squad for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Mexico needing 3 goals for the victory to be that team that takes first spot in Group B. Mayor stutters, has Espinoza, and Sierra cleans it up. Ovalle quiet this second half. The 20-year-old, a member of that Tigre squad, along with Stephanie Mayor, Bianca Sierra. And here's the substitution. It is going to be Maria Sanchez, and she's going to come in for Ovalle. Sanchez brings a little bit more experience, a member of that 2015 World Cup squad for Mexico. The World Cup in Canada in 2015.
Number 19, Maria Sanchez.
Sanchez is creative, known for being an assist player. Tries to drop one in there. Sierra, back post. It's flicked on, Palacios and Cuellar. Neither one really gets a clear head to it.
This is better by Mexico. You know, they always have patience in the way they possess. You can see Sierra getting this ball into the back post, and you would love to see only one person challenging and the rest going for that second ball, but it's better by Mexico. They're very patient in possession, but I'd like to see more energy and risk-taking going forward. Some of these subs and the personnel changes might bring that, and you can just see Maria Sanchez getting that cross off. But just in their play, I'd like to see them commit more numbers for it. It's now or never for them.
You spoke earlier on in the match about the line of confrontation. probably the time in the game where you have to start thinking about moving that much higher up on the field.
100%. They still have stayed quite, in a medium block, but can they win the ball higher up the field? And they've proven that they can win possession and create, areas of space where they can win the ball, but can they do that higher up and get them an opportunity to go forward even closer to goal?
Right there, the pressure by Cuellar allows Bernal to win the ball back. Can't do anything with it. As Mexico started an attack, but it's given away just as easily by Canada. '65th minute here in Edinburgh, Texas. Christine Sinclair, 186th international goal. The first one, and then Shailina Zadorsky right before the halftime whistle. 2 first-half goals, as we're going to see the leading goal scorer in Concacaf women's qualifying here in 2020, replacing the all-time leading goal scorer in Concacaf women's Olympic qualifying. Christine Sinclair makes way for the youngster Jordan Heidema.
Substitution for Canada in the 66th minute. Entering the game, number 9, Jordan
Heidema comes on
leading the game, number 12.
after starting the last match against Jamaica, scoring 5 goals and having 1 assist.
It's absolutely great for her confidence, and then to have her be able to come into a game against Mexico where the bar is raised, tougher competition, to get her some minutes before going to that final game is important.
Heidema's here challenging Origel, trying to put some pressure on her. Bernal, now Espinoza. That's the player they want on the ball, but Mayor can't connect. Heidema gets fouled. And Origel has to be careful. She had a yellow card in the first half. That's a tough foul there on Heidema. Jocelyn Origel committing the foul there. It'll give Canada an opportunity here. Just about in their attacking third with Janine Becky. Becky, the native of Littleton, Colorado, currently playing over in England for Manchester City. Over the ball here, plays it far post. Schmidt doesn't have the hops for that one.
You can see what they're looking to do. You can see Kadisha Buchanan coming in on a late run. If Sophie Schmidt could have gotten her head on that, no one was going with Kadisha Buchanan for that follow-up.
Just so shocking. If you've watched Kadisha Buchanan on any set piece, you would think you'd be double teaming her. She's so good in the box on attacking set pieces. Zadorsky scored the second goal tonight as the crowd gets into it here in Edinburgh. Sounds like a good mixture of Canada and Mexico.
It does.
The fans out to watch these two teams play on the last match day for group play.
I would love to see Alvarado play that a little bit quicker. When Canada transitions back into their defensive shape, it's very hard to break down. They've figured out the spaces that Mexico wants to attack, and every time it slows down, it's really hard for Mexico to break lines. So that transition or that build-up play being quicker is only going to help Mexico as they try to generate more opportunities.
It's a really good point there, Casey. But Mexico figured out a way to get out of it even with that slow build-up from Alvarado. Lopez earns a corner? A throw-in. Is that outlet from Alvarado as to Cuellar, or is it in the outside gaps? Where do you see that?
I think it's just the speed of play. It's not necessarily playing direct. It's just how quickly are they making decisions and making Canada defend. So that piece is important. I don't think they go away from their identity of keeping the ball, but they have to break lines quicker.
Sanchez trying to just get a little poke on the ball, see if she can get possession back in her team's favor. But Canada keeps it here on the near side. Both teams comfortable in possession, playing out of the back. The possession well in favor of Canada. That really started to tilt in their favor after the goal was scored in the 26th minute by Christine Sinclair. Mexico did such a good job early on in disrupting the spaces for Canada that they wanted to exploit. But it was that one chance. They get forward, break down Mexico, and Christine Sinclair scores the goal. And ever since then, it's really possession and opportunities more in favor of Canada.
Yeah, that can be so disheartening as Mexico started and kept them off, out of their goal for so long. And really, the way they were defending was working well, but it does speak to them being more detailed in front of goal Canada and being able to put that one opportunity away. And it gives them time and buys them time to figure out how to penetrate past their compact block.
Sanchez getting a little tricky on the far side, trying to bring in Lopez, and then Lopez just giving a little shove to Lawrence.
Just a little late. Lawrence had her beaten on that positive first touch, and she saw it. She went to the ref, said, yeah, that's me, and decided to, make amends there.
Tactical foul. Trying to deny Canada getting forward quickly, but she put a little shove behind it. Heidema good at holding the ball up for Canada. She does enough to earn a throw-in for her team. Jordan Heidema playing over in France as well with PSG. Teammates with Ashley Lawrence. Nice to have that club connection abroad, as well as we're going to see Renee Cuellar come out and make way for Adriana Iturbide.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Substitution for Mexico. In the 73rd minute, entering the game, number 14, Adriana Iturbide.
Cuellar had a big role and responsibility for Mexico. A player that you know well. You got to coach Cuellar when she was playing collegiately at Oklahoma. Your thoughts on her performance there after 73 minutes?
I think it was a different role for her today. Their compact shape defensively was obviously something that was super important to them for the success of the game, and I thought she showed a lot of discipline and growth. In talking to her this week, she said she's learning different responsibilities of being a striker. It's not just scoring goals. There's so much more at the international level, and she's really tried to put that into her game, and I thought she did a really good job of that today. I would have liked to have seen her have more support in the attack going forward, which I think would have helped her out to imprint more on the game in the attacking third.
That's Casey White. I'm Jordan Angeli. Thanks for joining us here for this Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifier between Mexico and Canada. Canada with 2 first-half goals. The difference right now, you're absolutely right. That point that you just made about Cuellar, learning all the different aspects of being a center forward at the international level. Well, this game looked a lot different for her than the last game that Mexico had just a couple days ago against St. Kitts. She had 2 goals. Wasn't able to get as much of the ball here today. As Scott gets fouled by Mayor. Scott wearing the armband for Canada after Christine Sinclair left the pitch. It actually isn't a foul on Scott, it's a handball on her. As we see Kadisha Buchanan
Substitution for Canada in the
with 1 assist tonight. Buchanan makes way for Rebecca Quinn.
entering the game.
Quinn, a really jack of all trades. She can play center mid, she can play center back.
Kadisha Buchanan.
Comes in for Buchanan, who's seen every single minute of this tournament so far. Nice to give her a little bit of rest with a big semifinal match on Friday. Here's Lopez into the box. Zadorsky heads it down. It's a shot deflected. LeBay makes the first save. Becky cleans it up. Espinoza thought maybe she had one there.
When you see that clearance from Becky, we talked about the connection in the last game with Becky and Heidema. That clearance was right on the spot, but you see good, dangerous ball in, and Espinoza gets a good first touch and just makes it dangerous where LeBay has to make a save here and follows it up. But better by Mexico getting numbers in the box and taking advantage of a half chance.
Always so impressed by goalkeepers. For the majority of the game, you don't have much to do, and then in that 1 split second for LeBay to be ready and poised to make that save, that's what separates them. Becky fouling there. Canada now has made all 3 of their subs, as have Mexico. This ball coming into the box. Cleared away by Heidema. Mexico trying to use some of that energy they feel, but Heidema might put it to bed. Here's Quinn.
What good play by Heidema there. I mean, for such a young player to realize that they do not have a numerical advantage going against Mexico and keep possession to bring numbers forward is just a very veteran move for such a young player.
Heidema has proved that she has that poise, she has that soccer brain playing up front. Probably helps that you have gotten to study under the best goal scorer there is in Christine Sinclair. Heidema, when described to as Becky, is a born and bred goal scorer. We'll see if these 2 can connect here. It's off the mark for Heidema. Fleming finds Quinn. Up and over for Quinn. Tough challenge on Fleming there. She was down on the ground for just right after that initial challenge, and here's the look.
I mean, very savvy right here to find the open player in Rebecca Quinn, and she took quite a hit on that ball, but you can just see the vision that she has, trying to avoid the challenge, but also get the assist here.
Credit to Mexico, throwing some players out at Quinn, to make the shot hard for her.
What a luxury for Canada at this stage to be able to take a player like Kadisha Buchanan out. You just never know if someone's going to be on yellow cards or something's going to happen where you're going to have to prepare other players. And normally in these environments you don't get that opportunity, but to be able to do that, Heiner Mueller has to be feeling good about continuing to showcase the depth of his team and having them perform.
Schmidt there sliding back for Buchanan. It puts Quinn in the midfield as she distributes here. Here's Heidema. Lawrence keeps it alive. Now Fleming. Chapman wants to connect with Prince, but those 2 just not quite on the same page. knows no gender. Football knows tenacity. This is your open invitation to get off the sidelines and get in the conversation. Concacaf W, we belong. So Canada doing a good job since that first goal for Christine Sinclair of taking back over the game. In the first 20 minutes, Mexico had 2 shots and a little bit more of the possession. It favored them, but since then, Mexico only 3 shots since the 18th minute of play, showing that Canada is just dominated with their 8 shots here.
Yeah, I think for that, you know, it's something that Mexico doesn't want to see.
Fleming here has Prince. Prince just nicks off the side of the post.
And again, you know, Jessie Fleming, what a great ball, well-timed run. And I mean, you got to get that on frame. She has a lot of space. I'd love to see her hit that low and across frame. She has a back post runner looking for any kind of deflection. Becky can put those balls away. So you want to give yourself the most opportunity to score in those environments.
That's a good angle there. It just shows that it almost, she undercut it inside the ball. Fleming, nice run here by Jessie Fleming. Tries to draw the foul. She's not going to get a call from Ekaterina Koroleva.
You're starting to see more of the movement you saw in the first 2 games with that interchange, and now Jessie Fleming looking to get beyond the forwards. They're starting to have more of those moments. That's just hard for backlines to deal with. But, you know, I'd like to have seen, to your point earlier, Mexico committing more numbers forward. They haven't really changed their line of confrontation, being down 2 goals. And it shows in the stats, them not being able to generate more than 3 shots in a 50-minute period. That's a long time when you're down 2 goals and you need the win.
You're into the last 10 minutes here. How much do you use it as almost a real opportunity to train? If you're in the Olympics and you make the Olympics after qualifying on Friday, and you're in a spot where you need goals, it's nice to have this kind of practice against a top 10 team in the world in Canada of high pressing, getting after the game, trying to find a way to get those goals back.
Yes, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a tactical change from a team standpoint, because there's going to be times, whether it's in this qualifiers or beyond, that Mexico's going to have to maybe get out of their comfort zone and press a little higher. And yes, you might give up a long service and someone might be able to get in behind, but you have to generate more attacking opportunities in these moments.
Quinn finds Lawrence on the far side. Nice cross into the back post. It's just too much for Heidema. Carl, defended by Espinoza. Cuellar. Some information to his team here, laid on.
What we're not exactly privy to is what Cuellar has said to his team, and there has to be credit given to Canada as well, of the way they can keep possession, and Mexico trying to step up, but maybe just not being able to because of the sophistication of Canada on the ball as well. So there's a bit of both, and a bit to consider as they go throughout this game.
As it stands now, Canada would win Group B. Mexico would be in 2nd place in Group B. Both teams heading to LA after this match for the semifinals of the Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifiers on Friday. Canada would then face Costa Rica, who are 2nd in Group A play. And Mexico would face the United States, who won Group A. That's what's on the line. And that's why the majority of this game felt and had the pressure of a playoff game, because nobody wants to face the reigning World Cup champions in the semifinal. Here's Becky connecting with Fleming. Little deflection. It's going to be a corner here for Canada.
You know, that goal off the corner kick at the end of the first half was just so tough for Mexico. Going into halftime down 1 versus down 2, it's very, very different. And yes, you have 45 minutes to get a goal back and come back into the game, but that's a hard thing to deal with as a coach with your players, that it could have just been 1 goal difference at that point in time.
Looking for one here. Heidemann not able to get on the end of it. Espinoza looking for an outlet. It's well defended by Quinn. And another corner in favor of Canada. Mexico doing a good job so far this half defending corner kicks against Canada, as that goal you spoke to right before halftime came off a corner. The center back showing each other some love for Canada. Buchanan assisting Zadorsky. Now Becky will play it short to Fleming. Becky's cross cleared away by Lopez. Awkwardly taken by Schmidt. Now Quinn picked out of the air by Alvarado. And there's that quick distribution from Alvarado that Casey wanted to see earlier. Just nothing there on the end for Mexico. Within the last 5 of this one, Canada in the driver's seat. What looks like the potential game-winning goal going again to Christine Sinclair. Said that a few times in her career. Mayor shields that one. Palacios came in late in the game after having a really good game in Mexico's last match. She just wasn't able to provide the spark. She tried to there in her first 5 minutes. She didn't have this response from her team, not stepping up together as a unit. That's Christine Sinclair's 66th opening goal in a game in her career. She knows how to put them away and find the lead for Canada time and time again. Maybe more goals to come here for the Canadians. Not convincingly cleared there, but Palacios sends it high and wide.
Christine Sinclair getting those goals just takes so much pressure off of Canada, especially when the buildup wasn't as fluid as they wanted it to be right away. They're going to have those moments. So to have a player like Christine Sinclair be able to do that, it just goes, everyone can just breathe. It's like, oh, God, okay, let's keep playing.
And in this moment here, it was important because Canada didn't have much going forward in attack, and their one attack that they got forward, well, they found wide open Christine Sinclair, as Nichelle Prince is wide open, but she's offside. They had a wide open Christine Sinclair, and for Canada, really a nice outlet in that moment where they needed the game to really turn 180 degrees.
Yes, they eventually did find the spaces to start to break down Mexico a bit more, but until that moment, it wasn't happening, and inevitably, Mexico then has to start going forward more, so the spaces become bigger. So that is just a critical goal to put Canada up on top.
Some skills by Maria Sanchez on the far side. Sanchez had 16 assists her senior year at Santa Clara. She's just looking for one here in this tournament. If she can't get it tonight, she'll have another opportunity potentially on Friday if she gets the nod by her head coach. As both of these squads are already set to go into the semifinals.
Equally as important as getting that early, or that goal in the 25th minute, I believe it was, is getting a shutout here for Canada and knowing how to finish out games. Very, very important as they continue to play harder and harder games in this Olympic qualifiers and beyond. But I know going into the final minutes, they're going to want to see that 0 stay up there against Mexico.
That would be the second shutout here for Labe. Mayor trying to lead her team, figure out a way to score here against Canada. Sanchez sweeps it around Lawrence, but the veteran is not having it. She almost baited her into that. Said, you can play it, I'm just gonna get on the end of it.
She did. Very experienced defending, very patient there by Ashley Lawrence.
Palacios connects on the far side. Bernal here. Keeps it going forward for Mexico. Good flick. Now it's Sanchez, far post, runners, but no one at the back post to get on the end of that Maria Sanchez cross. Miscommunication there between Mayor and Sierra. We're gonna have 2 minutes here added to the end
Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth official on the sideline has
of this one.
indicated
Stoppage
that there will be a
time.
minimum of 2 minutes added to the second half.
Canada, if they can hold this score for the next minute and a half, made it through Group B qualification, not giving up any goals. They're looking for more here. 22 goals through group play in favor of Canada. Ashley Lawrence has space, has Heidema, a good initial save. Prince can't find a way to get it over the line. Credit to Alvarado, quick to get up after that first save.
That's great quick reactions. A really dangerous ball played to the back post by Heidema and 2 great saves by Alvarado. You can just see here Ashley Lawrence picks her head up, and I love the separation there by Heidema, and what a great save. And then to react again to Prince's second shot. I mean, just great reaction here by Alvarado.
First game of the tournament that Prince has played in. She was trying to make her mark, because not only are these players playing to help their squad, but they're trying to solidify their spot. Only 18 players on the roster, as if these teams make it to the Olympics, the end of the summer in Tokyo. That means 2 players from this squad could potentially not be on that team. It's a big thing to play for. For Canada, they knew what was on the line. They wanted to win Group B. They did so convincingly. 2-0 victory, both first half goals for Canada as they take down Mexico and continue their streak of victory against this Mexican side. Casey, overall thoughts of this performance?
Job done tonight for Canada to secure first place in Group B. Now, if you're both of these teams, you have to be done with this game and get ready for the next, and that's something they're going to have to figure out very quickly because the big game is coming up.
We're going to take a quick break as we get set for an interview from each one of these squads, highlights and stats from Casey and myself when we get back after this.